Mad, Sick, Reggaeville.
Yeah, man, reggae nights.
I'd really like to start first with asking all the panelists for their definition of dub. And yeah, maybe Louis, you're sitting next. We're starting with you, and I know it's a tough one.
My definition of dub is, it'll be a temporary definition, meaning that it will change by the time the brethren here add to it. But for me, a lot of people think of dub as a music, as reggae, or a subgenre of reggae. Truly, I think dub is a process. Dub is really a way of thinking about sound, and it's a spiritual, and a political, and an artistic process. And if you think of dub as a process, that means dub can be in any genre of music, really, you know? So for me, dub is really an approach to sound, approach to culture, an approach to ideas.
Okay, Addis, your definition?
Yes, well, as Brendan said, dub is definitely a process in the sense where it's not something you can sum up in a few words. It would probably take to listen to a dub and really understand what we're speaking of if you're not familiar with it. But dub is basically, in my eyes, taking, say, a rhythm track of any genre, as the Brendan said, and kind of creating, it's like you create a track from a track, and essentially it's compared to remixing, but it's like what you create from that original rhythm is like, it becomes something of its own, it's a life of its own, it becomes a history, it can create music, it can create versions. So dub is like taking something that is essentially a rhythm with melodic vocals, bass and drum, and removing certain parts and kind of focusing on, in essence, the drum and bass with you know, reverb and delay and a lot of different creative. So it's a creative process that takes place inside, really, and you express it on the outside, just like playing an instrument. So dub is like, you know, playing an instrument pretty much. It's the same expression, creativity.
Ras Jammy?
Adding to that, for me, it's like breaking. It's like Legos. You break it down. You break the music down. You break a sound straight down to all the pieces, and then you build it back up the way you would like to build it and the way you would like to hear it sound, you know, with whatever you think is nice, a little, you know, percussions here and a little bit of something there, you know, simple.
And Louis, in your essay, Dr. Satan's Echo Chamber, like I said, which was published in 1997, you rightfully wrote that dub is dead in Jamaica, which was true at that time, and maybe even a couple of years ago. So how do you feel about this dub resurgence which is happening in Jamaica right now? Did you expect something like this?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because when I said those words, that was at the opening of the Bob Marley Center in Kingston. And one of the things I helped do was, you know, get that center going, and I did that in lecture to show people that, you know, reggae has this very serious political, but also intellectual and creative component. But they expected me to come back and talk about dancehall, right? Or to talk about the things that were popular at the time. And so I decided, you know, I wanted to talk about what I think is the most influential aspect of reggae music, and that's the approach to sound. And so I decided to do a talk about dub. And people started screaming at me, you know. Some people walked out, you know. And so how do I feel right now? You know, when I said dub was dead in Jamaica, I didn't really know that there were youths like this still coming up, you know, thinking about it and feeling the dub. So right now I feel almost like a prophet, you know, because one of the things I wanted people in Jamaica to realize is that dub may have gone outside of Jamaica, but dub took roots in Europe, you know, in the UK and in Germany and all over the world, and gave rise to a lot of music that Jamaicans didn't even think had anything to do with reggae. Drum and bass, dubstep, all these different kinds of music. But when I hear all those musics, even back then, I said, this is dub, right? This is strictly dub, you know? But people didn't understand that. So this generation is a generation that understands the globalization of reggae, right? And that all of these musics are dub, rooted in dub. And so I feel very, 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 very happy.
And Addis and Jammy, do you yourself have an explanation why this resurgence is happening now? Of course, it's maybe difficult to say because you're part of it, but you know, how did this awareness of dub music, of course, as the father of Augustus Pablo, but that you really wanted to do it and carry it further?
Well, for me, dub music, of course, I always grew up listening to my dad, just being amongst him, being in the house. So that's what the music was that I know. But also at a certain age, of probably 15 or 16, I listened to one of my dad's album called, I believe it's DJs of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, something like that. It was a compilation of different tracks, Human Dale, Jacob Miller, Billinger. At that point, I definitely realized the connection between dub and hip-hop, because that style of chanting and all these things that we've been doing from Jamaica ever since, from Daddy U-Roy and Lord, Ultimate and all these sound and sound system culture that was developing hand in hand with dub is, I think naturally, because of the influence of this music coming into Jamaica as well, hip-hop and even drum and bass, electronic music, indirectly and directly influences people back into dub, because it's the same aspect of music. It's music with maybe only one vocal track and like electronics or instrumental. So the fact that people are so aware of the international sound, groups like Major Lazer, Skrillex and so on and so forth, is like, it's pretty much, for me, it's obvious. I mean, I grew up in it, and I think even not being inside of it, you can still see it if you really pay attention. Coming to Europe and Japan, and if you get a chance to travel, or you know people who do travel, if you go to university abroad, most people associate Jamaica in the musical aspect with reggae, of course, dub and dancehall. But a lot of young people are into dub, and Augustus Pablo, Tubby's, Striker, and all these foundation men. So it's like, I think the reason why the resurgence is coming on is basically just like, if you study astrology and certain things, they say certain stars come around every 100 years or every 30 years. I think it's something like that, where every, say, 10 years or 15 years you're going to have a resurgence, because people are growing up, a different generation, as they said, are becoming of age to do their own thing, and professionals, whether it's music or art. And dub is what influenced a lot of these people, especially this generation. And even if it's not the most popular thing still, there's a lot of youths who are aware of dub, and of course international, but especially coming to Jamaica now with people like myself, Jammy, Chronix, Kamaka, the whole generation of the artists are aware of dub and are part of this experience of dub that's happening now.
Ras Jammy, can you also?
I think for me, dub has been consistent. It's been the most consistent. What has once been a subgenre of reggae, it's the most consistent subgenre of reggae that it has lived over the years in Europe, in America, South America, and the response is amazing. And the way I was saying, it covers almost every aspect of what reggae music entails. It brings a different spiritual side, it brings a different soulful side, a different level of dedication. When it comes to the dub, it keeps the vinyl market up, it keeps everything going, And with a lot of the artists that are coming up now on the resurgence, I think, like Addis was saying, dub has influenced a lot of the music that we have looked at, or we have grown up on, or the radio has pushed at us, A lot of the hip hop, a lot of the drum and bass music that we have started to hear is influenced by the dub music. And the artists that are coming up now, you see they have some of the Aimika Mosley style, some of the Big Youth style. And I think the wholesomeness in the dub music and the level of support and consistency within dub, and UK, France being homes of dub music outside of Jamaica, or which are places that have adopted dub outside of Jamaica, it has been a push in a direction for the artists now to kind of move more towards that, because it is what is wholesome. Like I just said, you would hear the reggae music over the last 6-7 years is not the same as it has been like before the last 10 years with the last set of styles come around, you know. And like I say, it's still a matter of consistency. And in Jamaica, there isn't much people doing dub music. You have the Kingston Dub Club, you have the Dubwise, Yardcore, Gabi Selassie, and they're pushing it. And it's practically the only weekly events that have a very strong following in Jamaica. And what has been happening is these events are now being channels for educating the younger generation in Jamaica as to what is dub music, you know, and what this thing really is. And a lot more people are naturally now going towards the dub music, as it is what has influenced a lot of the other musics we have been listening to, and what we are hearing now, the dubstep, the drum and bass, all these different things, you know. So like we were saying with, in terms of defining what dub is, it's breaking down and building back up. It gives you a lot more freedom. A lot of the youths now are more liberal and more professional within what they are doing, and they take it among themselves to do their own craft, you know, and they take it on a different level. So you won't just see artists putting out an album, you know, 12 tracks, whatever. They're doing the thing differently, including dub versions, you know, they're breaking down the rhythm, building it back. And like I said, the influence just kind of comes 360 because dub has been ever existent, you know, within the music and the music that we are influenced by.
Mad, sick, Reggaeville.